And we begin with breaking news. President Donald Trump says the suspect in the Charlie Kirk shooting is in custody. Thanks for being here at 6 a.m. I'm Eric Connors.
And I'm Netta Irampour. The president made the comments during an interview on Fox News. Listen.
With a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. Right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there.
Now, the conservative activist was shot and killed Wednesday while speaking at Utah Valley University. Authorities are expected to hold a news conference in 30 minutes. We just got that update. Meantime, President Donald Trump says he plans to award Kirk a posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom and will attend his funeral in Arizona. We will be sure to bring you developments as they come in.
We know it's Friday. Everyone wants to know what the weekend weather is going to look like, preparing for school here on this Friday as well. A little cooler here for this weekend, which is very nice and refreshing.
Yeah, we're sticking with those below normal temperatures all the way through Sunday. By Monday, Tuesday timeframe next week, we'll start to see those temperatures climb into the above average range once again. But for now, we're enjoying this bout of cooler temperatures. 72 out along the coastline, 84 our inland valleys, still about 5 degrees cooler than normal. We do wake up with a good amount of cloud cover along the coast and inland. That'll break apart steadily as the day goes on. Here's that live look outside. Notice that those clouds are already starting to break apart toward the top left corner of your screen. Sunrise not coming until 6:31. And hey, sunset, sadly, now in the 6 o'clock hour. They've left the 7 o'clock hour. 6:58 is that sunset tonight. Here's what temperatures are like out the door right now. Send things over to Vanessa Paz. She's checking in on traffic to start off the day.
Yeah, despite the sun not rising for another half hour or so, you could certainly see the brake lights pretty clear here, and this is all due to a crash on the 5 North right at Main Street near the National City area. So if you're just tuning in and you're taking the 5 out of Chula Vista northbound towards the 54 connector, you might leave time for travel. We're pretty slow and go through that area. Other than that, we're looking at full freeway speeds. In fact, as they take you over to the South Bay, again, the slowest drive is going to be in from about East Street, but on the 805, free and clear of any slowing, about 65-mile-per-hour speeds. In about 10 minutes or so, we'll take a look at those Friday travel times for you. Netta.
Thank you very much, Vanessa, for that. And this just in, President Trump says he is sending the National Guard to Memphis.
The president says the deployment will address crime concerns and has the support of the mayor and the governor of Tennessee. We're going to keep you updated as soon as we learn more on this decision here.
This morning, a bill called the No Secret Police Act heading to Governor Gavin Newsom's desk for his signature.
It aims to ban most law enforcement officers from concealing their faces while on duty. CBS 8's Regina Yorita live downtown. Local leaders set to announce more on this here today.
That's right. Later today, we'll know more about this regional policy that they're hoping to announce. But what we're looking at is really a response from the state and a local level. So we've seen ICE agents around the country and even here in San Diego detaining people while hiding their faces with masks and sunglasses. Well, now there's a bill that would make it illegal for local and for law enforcement to hide their faces behind masks unless they're involved in high-risk situations like SWAT calls or natural disasters. It's called the No Secret Police Act. The bill has now moved forward and been sent to Governor Gavin Newsom's desk for final approval. Now, supporters of the bill say this ban will demand transparency and accountability from law enforcement, but critics of the bill say it would put the safety of law enforcement officers and their families at risk. Legal experts also warn that potential federal backlash could happen if the bill becomes law, adding that the federal government could respond with a new regulation that explicitly allows mask usage, and that would likely override California's potential law. Meanwhile, here locally, the city and county of San Diego is also taking action in response to the recent incidents involving masked federal agents detaining residents. The city says in many cases without warrants or transparency. So City Councilman Sean Elo Rivera and County Board of Supervisors Chair Tara Lawson-Remer will be joined by regional elected officials and community leaders to announce a coordinated regional policy response. So back out here, we do know that that press conference is expected to take place at 2 p.m. and we'll know more during that time. For now, I'm in downtown. Regina Yorita, CBS 8.
All right, Regina, thank you very much for the details on that. Amid concerns about immigration enforcement, Oceanside leaders are pushing for action. A new proposal aimed at shielding vulnerable families heading to the city council next week. This community trust resolution outlines several key actions, including creating a plan for filing Freedom of Information Act requests if someone is detained or deported. It would also prohibit federal immigration enforcement in non-public areas of city-owned or controlled properties without a judicial warrant. It also includes designating safe spaces for day laborers and for street vendors. Legislation that would increase penalties for people who enter the U.S. illegally now headed to the U.S. Senate. This so-called Stop Illegal Entry Act just passed in the House. Anyone who enters the country illegally and is convicted of a felony would face a minimum of 5 years in prison. Someone who makes an illegal re-entry after being deported could face up to 10 years, no matter if they have a criminal history.
We have the latest on another bill aiming to close loopholes in California's housing laws.
We know housing is a major concern among San Diegans. This is headed to Governor Newsom's desk. CBS 8's Chris Grow live in Pacific Beach this morning to explain Senate Bill 92. Chris.
Yeah, so of course housing is a huge priority. We're seeing on all levels it trying to be completed, trying to get it constructed. But what they are scared of and what SB 92 aims to do is to close loopholes where developers are maybe potentially using housing as a means to put in mixed use spaces or maybe even hotels, luxury hotels. So Senator Catherine Blakespear says developers have abused the state's affordable housing density bonus. Developers would include some affordable housing in a project, go ahead and bypass local and state restrictions and then build large properties that normally wouldn't be allowed and do not actually try to help solve any affordable housing. She uses the controversial Turquoise Tower as an example. That project aims to build a more than 230-foot tall tower with more than 200 units. But critics have pointed out that of those more than 200 units, 74 are designated dwelling units, so housing, but only 10 of those 74 are affordable housing. So it satisfies the affordable housing requirement to go beyond the density, but there's a remaining 139 spaces or units that would be labeled what they are being called visitor accommodation units, which critics say are a fancy way of saying hotel rooms. So regardless, the developer was able to bypass the coastal area's 30-foot limit as well as other restrictions by relying on the state's density bonus law, which allows waivers if a proposal meets certain housing requirements. But SB 92 aims to close that loophole because they are saying that they would limit developers to increasing the commercial floor space included in their projects to, quote, no more than 2.5 times what is allowed by local zoning. So if it goes beyond that 2.5 times local zoning, it would not be allowed. SB 92 would be triggered. Just to give you an idea, this Turquoise Tower would exceed local zoning by more than 1,500%. So something like this in the future would be stopped by SB 92. But of course, this still has to be signed into law. This has been passed by the state legislature. It is on Governor Gavin Newsom's desk. We'll have to see exactly how he reacts, how he signs it, and then we can go on from there. Eric and Netta.
All right, Chris Grow reporting on the latest. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. And now let's check in on your temperatures. Maybe a little chill in the air right now for some people.
I love it. It feels so good, right? Getting that relief overnight, being able to open up the windows, let in the cooler air. We don't really see those temperatures starting to warm up until closer to 8, 9 a.m. Right now, we're mostly in the 60s. As you look toward our local mountains, that's where we get down to the 50s and even 40s. Julian right now, for example, and overnight for the last several mornings has been cooling down to the 40s, 47 right now in Julian, 62 in Ramona, 54 in Alpine, and 67 in Carlsbad. Cloud cover has been touch and go. What we've noticed is that generally those clouds have been quite dense in the overnight stretch, and then just ahead of sunrise, right around sunrise, they start to break apart. And there's that same trend on hand this morning. Should make for a beautiful sunrise, and it made for a great sunset last night. We'll have more of those moving through the next couple days. Here are those high temperatures. Santee and El Cajon still staying cooler than normal at 80 degrees this afternoon. As you look at Mira Mesa, 78, 73 for Coronado, 71 for Chula Vista, and 73 for San Ysidro. If you're out along the coast, you'll notice that onshore flow continues. We've had a little bit of a breeze picking up each afternoon, and that's going to be the case again today. But that trough of low pressure will be short-lived overhead. We're going to get the influence of a ridge of high pressure going into the beginning of next week that'll warm these temperatures up a bit. So just be prepared for that going into early next week. But in the meantime, the weekend is going to look a lot like what we have on hand today across the county. Borrego Springs 93, Mount Laguna 73, and Campo 78. Here's that 5-day forecast where you can see how today and tomorrow are very similar. Only a small warm up into Sunday, but that kicks into high gear as we go into Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday and Wednesday look to be our warmest days of next week. And then it will start to transition to a cool down. So we'll cool down once again by the end of next week. A bit of a roller coaster ride and up and down that we've been on, but still enjoying these more mild temperatures, at least for the next couple days. Vanessa Paz has a check of our Friday morning traffic.
Hey, so happy Friday. Let's go ahead and start things off with a live look outside. Things are improving a little bit as you make your way northbound, headed towards a mile of cars in from Chula Vista via the 5 North towards that 54 connector. We were tracking a good amount of slowing, but it looks like the red has transitioned into yellow, which is improvement, and that's due to a 2-car crash on the 5 North right at Main Street, also known as Division. Let's go ahead and take a look at those speeds. Meanwhile, average speeds near 45 miles per hour, so close to 70 or so on the 805 as you make your way towards North Park. And it looks like the Coronado Bridge flowing really nice this morning. Average speeds about 55 miles per hour. So full freeway speeds in from Oceanside and Escondido. Nothing to report there, nor out of Santee and La Mesa. Looks like drivers are behaving behind the wheel. 10 to about nearly 30 minutes to get you southbound in from Encinitas as well as Escondido this morning. Full span of that 78 from the 15 to the 5 will take you about 15 minutes or so. Anywhere between 5 to 7 headed westbound on the 94, the 8, as well as the 52. And if you're traveling in from the South Bay, just remember we're tracking the slowest drive on the 5 North due to that 2-car crash near the mile of cars. But it looks like the tow trucks have arrived and they're likely going to clear those roads off the freeway any minute now. Coronado Bridge will take you under 5 minutes coming in from the Barrio downtown area towards the island. All right, it is 6:12. Let's go ahead and take a look at those border wait times. About an hour and a half is what we're tracking in from San Ysidro's port of entry, and in from Otay Mesa will take you about 30 minutes at last check.